Hello, hello, beautiful souls. Today I am joined by Ali, and we're having a conversation all about blocks, what they are, what they mean, how they impact your life without probably even be aware of them, and what does it mean even going through them, releasing them, integrating them, all those fabulous words. What does it mean for the end result of you having a more amazing, empowered life? So Ali has guided thousands of women. Her passion really is over the last 23 years, I think she's gathered a multitude of ancient wisdom and techniques and just brings them to us as her offering to the modern woman for us to use. So Ali, thank you so much for being here with us today and having this
Thank
conversation.
you. Thank you so much. I feel so honored and blessed. I love my community that being able to surround myself with powerful, amazing women such as yourself who are, bringing this really important information to the masses and really using your platform for change and impact. So super honored to be here. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. It's funny because you had said this word change. And
Mm.
I will love your thoughts on this, but to me, going and recognizing what these blocks even are, to me, it's really a more integrated way of going through change.
Mhm.
In your experience, how does that change management that we're probably more used to hearing from corporate and blocks, how does that weave together?
I mean, I like to think of it kind of as transformation, almost, and, really evolution, evolving, expansion. I really am a big believer that, we came here with a purpose and with a mission, and the closer that we can get to our true authentic self, our highest self, that energy that animates us, that came here with a purpose before it got all covered up by the shoulds and the woulds and the expectations and the limiting beliefs and who society tells us we should be, who our parents want us to be, all of those kind of things. What our beliefs about our own potential and our own worth, right? But really getting to the core of that essence of who we truly are, that's when we really begin, our soul begins to transform and evolve and expand, and we can do what we came here to do. So, I'm not sure if that really answered your question because I wasn't totally sure what you wanted me to talk about, but that was just the first thing that I heard.
It was perfect.
Is yeah, is, how can we like transform in the sort of the easiest way with the least amount of struggle and resistance, because change can be hard when we're evolving, but it can be a really beautiful thing that leads to an incredible life and really more inner peace, more joy, more fulfillment.
What I heard, this idea of unpacking everything that society placed to us,
Yeah.
those are the blocks. Those
Yes.
are the
Those
things.
are the blocks. Yeah.
Until
And
you get to that center, that you, who you.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, I'm a really big believer that as humans, we have this unlimited source of power and potential to really change the trajectory of our lives, whatever that means for you, right? Whatever that next level means for you. When our energy is tuned into the frequency of our desires and we take that inspired action with the help of the divine guidance that's around us. But over time, we've sort of conditioned ourselves to give that power away because of years of false beliefs and limitations that have been handed down to us by others. And as a result, we've really disconnected from the truth of who we are and from that power, right? To really redesign our reality. And so when we can start kind of uncovering and peeling away, is this really true? Is this my belief, or am I just kind of holding this on because of something that happened to me, or somebody said it was that way, or whatever, and really get to the core of our most empowered self? That's when really all the magic starts to happen.
Very true. And it's so funny how some things are so incredibly, I would say almost ingrained in our brain that they're just there. And for example, tough to admit this, but we're at the stage where as parents, we're trying to teach our kids about allowance and what they have to do to earn money.
That's a fun one.
It is fun,
Been
especially
there,
when
still
you're
there.
yeah, right. And especially when you're trying to not pass down harmful beliefs or when you're
Yes.
mindful of them. And I caught
Yes.
myself the other day saying to my oldest, he's 7 years old now, saying something to the effect of, well, if you want your allowance, you have to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the words left my mouth, it was one of those, please don't catch on to this child.
Oh my gosh. But you know what? How cool is that? That because you've done so much personal and spiritual development work yourself, you were conscious enough to even realize that you were passing down that belief. Whereas for the majority of us, we grew up in situations, even if our parents had the best of intentions and were loving and wanted the best for us, they were handing down those belief systems from their parents and likely not conscious that they were doing that at all. Right. So what a gift to your son that you even had that, present moment awareness to be able to say, and catch yourself.
You're right.
Right.
And I think it's a testament that the work doesn't quite always end. There's always these little surprises that come up and you're like, oh, I guess you're still here. Or I guess I never realized you were there to begin with.
The work never ends. We're just peeling away layers of the onion, right? And we don't stop growing until the day we take our last breath, right? We're not meant to just stay stuck and stay stagnant. We're meant to grow and evolve and expand. And, as we set new intentions for ourselves and new goals and want to step into that next level of abundance, whether it's in our health, in our relationships, in our business, whatever is no longer serving us, whatever belief systems are not in alignment with that, are going to show themselves to us. And that is our opportunity for growth, is when those show up. So like for you can now reflect on that statement that just very naturally came out of your mouth on autopilot, right? And really kind of look at that. What are my beliefs? Do I believe that it has to be so hard, which is so common with the women entrepreneurs that I work with, that we have this belief that money can't just come to me easily. I have to struggle for it. I have to hustle for it. I have to the point of exhaustion and burnout, which, that's a tough one. My story. That's my story of what happened to me. Because we just don't believe, or we don't trust that the money in abundance is around us and available to us all the time. And that it doesn't have to be hard if we don't want it to be. Right. Yeah. So that was a powerful one for you.
It was. And it's amazing all the ones that come up when you really take a moment to look, and you don't even sometimes have to think too hard, like the typical family or career. That one is probably one that comes up very often for women, especially in these weird pandemic times when we're trying to make it all work as well. So much to unpack.
There's so many places that we're being pulled, where our attention is being pulled, and we're feeling exhausted by that. We're feeling overwhelmed by it. It's hard to, show up really focused and energized and committed to one area when in the back of your mind, you're thinking about the bills that you have to pay and the carpool that you have to run and all of the other things. So, really it's about how can we retrain the mind and the body to remain in the present with what we're doing right now and here, without all that extra noise pulling our energy, so that we really can be more focused, we're going to be more productive, and we're going to be able to really get things done and catapult the action we're taking without feeling drained and exhausted and overwhelmed, right?
Could we talk a moment about, there is a point in time when you notice something is blocking you and you want to work through it, that you have to make the decision to be a little bit uncomfortable, or how should I say it? Better say it, be comfortable with being uncomfortable as you move through it.
Yes.
Do you have any advice on how can we just sit with it so that we can understand? Because unless you know this, I'm going to digress a little bit, but unless you've been through a few, it can almost become addictive, because on the other side, it is so much better. You feel just so much lighter that you can take on the world. So it's almost like, oh, there's a block. Let me sit and then be better. But you have to have this almost willingness to just be uncomfortable. And our brain does not like that so much.
Our brain does not like to be uncomfortable. We don't like to, go exploring and go looking at things that make us feel emotions like shame or guilt or resentment or anger. Let's just as examples, right? Embarrassment, things like this. And these come up a lot in my business. And this is really what holds people back, because, if I am, let's just say that I am somebody who has this belief system around money and investing money, and I have all this guilt around investing money in my business when I really think I should be, spending it on the family, or, whatever this may be. Guilt is really the lowest vibrating of all the states that we can be in, guilt and shame. So when we're showing up to our business from this like very disempowered place, where we have this guilt and shame, which in turn, shame is really about, it's feeling bad about ourselves. It's like, when I feel shame, it's because I've created this story that I'm somehow like not good or not worthy or bad, right? And you're not making, and when you're making decisions from that place in your life and in your business, you're not going to be attracting abundant things to yourself. You're going to really only be attracting more things to bring you into that lower vibration. Really, the first step is to accept that all emotions are good, are okay. Like they're like all state, like it's not good or bad, right? It just is. And it's part of the human emotion to have these different experiences and to have these different feelings and to have even these sabotaging thoughts. Sometimes like this happens, right? And to not, judge yourself or criticize yourself, or even fear having those experiences. Because what happens is when we don't look at the emotions underneath, when we don't look at the blocks, when we just sort of shove them down and pretend that they're not there, that is when they have their most power over us. That is when, our beliefs are really driving our results at the end of the day. So if I have this belief that what I'm offering, my services are, nobody's going to pay for them. I don't know that I'm qualified enough, or maybe I don't have enough experience, or maybe nobody's going to want to listen to what I have to say. Right. And I have this thought that, nobody's going to want to pay for my services or listen to what I have to say. Those thoughts then trigger an emotion or a feeling. So I'm going to feel that lack of confidence because of those beliefs and those thoughts. And then when I go to take action to, let's say, talk about my program, I'm going to take it from this disempowered place where I'm lacking certainty in myself and what it is that I'm doing. And then my audience is going to hear that and feel that and sense that. And then they're not going to take action to want to work with me. But that's because that started with my own belief system. So we have to be willing to look at, these beliefs that are underneath the actions that we're taking. And we have to look at them with curiosity and give them space to express themselves. Give yourself space to explore. Where did this come from? Where did I learn that was, did I learn that what I had to say wasn't valuable on the playground when I was 5 years old and the kids were like making fun of me because I stuttered or, whatever it may be. And I'm still holding that in my energetic blueprint because I couldn't process that when I was that age. So when we have these experiences and we store them in our energetic blueprint and they're not processed, we don't have the opportunity to look at them for what they are. That's when they have the power over us. So in your example of like when you said that to your son, you could maybe start to journal around, where does that come from? Where is that belief playing out in my life right now? That you have to work hard. So like, what decisions am I making in my business? What habits am I implementing and actions am I taking in my business that stem from this idea that it has to be hard? And then looking at the flip side of, what if that weren't true? Like, what if it didn't have to be hard? What would that look like? Right. And starting to step into that belief system and choosing that belief system.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing advice. I love that ultimately, as you moved through your block, you said something that I think is super important. And when you gave the example of, now it came time to take action in your business or in your life or any area that you're really interested in.
Yeah.
We still live in this 3D world. And as much as we do thinking, as much as we do, thinking never resulted in really anything. You still had to do the
100%.
thing. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, and I love that you tied it back, is that the thing that speaks the loudest energetically in the physical world is action. And I think you hit it right on the nail when you said, you're speaking, if you keep that block, you're speaking with an undercurrent of shame and guilt, and the action carries that.
Exactly.
And you could do the same action, but if you were to change that baseline, it would just translate differently.
Exactly. And that is what I work with clients on in my Selling from Your Soul Abundance Academy and in my program. The Manifestation Vibration Code is really learning how to have that vision and then how to align ourselves energetically, align our beliefs, align our thoughts, and align our actions with that vision, right? I like to kind of think of it like if you think about abundance is available to you all the time, always. Okay. There's an abundance of trees. There's abundance of grass. There's an abundance of animals and insects. I mean, we see it all throughout nature, right? But if you think about like a garden hose, the water is always available to you. You just have to turn on the hose, right? And that's kind of like abundance. But if somebody's stepping on the hose, there's a kink in the hose, it's still there. It's just not available to you because you're not in alignment. And so this is, really about not only taking action, but taking it from an aligned, empowered, inspired place. Okay. So I can take the action in putting together a program that I want to offer, for service. But if the energy that is motivating me to take that action is one of fear and scarcity, like I'm just going to put it together because I need the money, I got to throw it out there, I'm going to choose topics that I think people want to learn about but that don't necessarily excite me that much anymore, but I think that's what's going to sell, or I think that's what I should be doing, right? Then I'm taking the action, but I'm taking it from a place that's not in alignment with my highest self. I'm taking it from my survival self or my fear-based self. And really looking at, and I get really deep into this in my programs, is just really looking at that fear-based self, which is, what is what we're programmed to be in from an evolutionary standpoint, to not go outside of our comfort zone, to not go into the unknown, to not put ourselves out there on Facebook and on social media and express what we want to say, because frankly, that's scary, right? That's scary and it can feel unsafe. Versus taking action from our, our truest self, our highest self, which doesn't have all of those fears, right? That the mind places on us. It's just there in our truest form. And really learning how we can start to shift into that more empowered space by taking a step back and just saying, what is the intention of this action that I'm taking? Am I doing it because I feel pulled, because I'm excited, because I feel inspired to say something right now? Or am I writing the social media content or writing the emails or whatever in your business because I feel like I have to get it done? Yeah. There's a difference, and it's going to land in a different way with your audience based on the energy in which you take that action.
Very true. One of the big things that I heard was align to your higher self. And I know before I learned how to do that, I didn't really know how to do that. Do you have maybe a tip or a question or that can just get you to shift that attention inwards, and how to just connect with that blueprint of yours, of who you truly are versus the mind, who the mind believes you are?
Yeah, I mean, I think that really kind of journaling around, what she may look like, or give her a name. That version of yourself, if you could fast forward in time to the time where you have everything that it is that you desire and you are living your ideal life, whatever that looks like for you, how does she show up in life? Does she show up with confidence? Does she just say whatever is on her heart unapologetically? Does she have healthy boundaries? What are her core values? Is she authentic? Does she prioritize, time with family equally as time in her business, right? Does she prioritize taking care of her physical health? Like, what does that look like, right? And where have you maybe disconnected from that version of yourself? Where are you making choices right now in your life from maybe the fear-based self, the part of you that is afraid of judgment, the part of you that is afraid of failure, the part of you who is scared of what the unknown might look like. So kind of having these two different categories of like, again, and this isn't from a place of judgment on yourself if you're operating from the space, because this is where like most people are operating from. But, if I were to take off all limitations, all expectations about myself, my worth, my potential, what could be possible for me, and how can I start showing up right now from that future version of myself? So if that future version of myself has healthy boundaries around who she lets into her world, what energies she allows in her space, maybe it's as simple as like how much time she spends watching the news, which is draining to our energy, right? How can I start practicing that right now? That future version of myself who's just so grateful for all of the abundance that's around her and all of the opportunities that she has in her life. How can I start to immerse myself in the energy of gratitude for what I have right now, so that I can start showing up as her now and attracting, as a result, new people and new energies and new situations to myself to bring me closer to what it is that I really want, and to start stepping into that new empowered version.
That is such a beautiful practice, because I think for a lot of us, our mind is very strong, it's very active. Um, and just to have the who I want and who I am now, how do I respond differently now? It will just show up so many things that those would be your blocks. Those would be what you would need to work through in many
Right.
ways. And I think having it visually written down can do wonders to just almost create a map for yourself and say, you know what,
Exactly.
I'm going to work on, let's say, boundaries, because that's a big one for all of us.
Yeah,
What
for
are
sure.
mine today? And just start analyzing one at a time. There's no rush with this stuff either. But I love that
Yeah.
practice.
I think being grounded in who you want to be, even if you're having a hard time being her right now, you have an intention of who you want to be so that you can pull yourself back into alignment when you are going off course, when you're making decisions in your life and your business and you're taking those actions. Am I taking those actions in alignment with my core values and who I really want to be, who I'm, that more empowered version of myself? And if I'm not, why am I not? And just being open to exploring that and looking at that.
Yeah. And something just popped into my head because sometimes, so we're talking about going into a version of ourselves. And it just occurred to me that in all the work that I have done, whether I was trying to figure out what my soul blueprint was, like who I was meant to be, how do I show up at my best, 99.9% of the time, it's exactly what I was envisioning for myself wanting to be. So you don't
Yes.
lose that. It's
No,
it's the same. The yearning is just the same in there. And
absolutely.
I thought that was fascinating because it is so much easier to do it through a practice as yours, the one you described, versus trying to figure out from the other way, the back door type of thing.
Sure.
Eventually it'll match, but as you
Sure.
kind of step in and change those frequency. But I thought that was such an interesting thing to bring up because I don't know what
Well,
your experience
a
is.
lot of times we feel like, you know, we will feel confident once I hit X goal, or once
Oh,
I get the promotion, or once I launch the thing and people want to enroll, or
mm,
once I get the body that I desire, or the relationship that I desire. And really, when it comes to manifestation, the opposite is true. You have to show up right now embodying what that future version of yourself looks like, feels like, how she moves through life, what her energy is, as if she already has the thing, so that you can then become a magnet for the thing. It's really kind of the opposite.
yeah, and it's not something we're taught how to do. And I hope that with the work you're doing to put this out in the world, working through, because really going through change, going from your state that you're now to a future state, it doesn't matter what it looks like. I'll take weight loss, for example,
Right.
because most
Right.
women have some sort of experience with that. It's not
Yep.
always easy. There's a bit of a process. And I think if we can find tools to not just, for example, force yourself to be on that super unrealistic diet, there's many other ways to move through change, no matter what area of your life you want to, that integrate
Right.
everything and makes it easier ultimately to move through these blocks.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing is around weight loss is like we have this idea that I will feel confident in my skin and I
Mhm.
will love myself more when I have that body. And it's how can you start showing yourself more love right now?
Yeah.
Right now, so that you can step into that. Um, that's just kind of something that I'm hearing that's coming through for anybody who needs that piece.
It's so true. And, to just kind of add to that, tying it back to the actions you would take, you would know if you should, am I honoring myself if I'm staying on that super hard diet plan? Or am I honoring myself by treating myself to an outfit that I feel good, to to adding a piece of food when I feel good or called for. It's different.
Well, and even like, am I, just from the dieting standpoint, because I have a lot of experience in helping women with weight loss as well. So this is kind of coming up, but it's not about, it's coming to that diet program from a place of self-love, of my body deserves to be nourished with high vibrating foods and fuel and nutrients that are dense, right? Verse, so I'm choosing to nourish myself because in this way, I'm choosing to maybe avoid, some of the things that I know are not supportive of my health, because I deserve to be nourished with only the best, to be fueled with only the best, not from a place of restriction and of I need to do that so that I can lose the weight, but from actually a place of self-love.
And exactly those beautiful affirmations you can apply to any area. I deserve to, da, da, da. I am worthy of love in this fill in the blank area of your life. Right. That's amazing. So I know that you have dabbled into many practices. Is there one modality that feels best to you or that you love and you want to share with us?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would say that the first step to really changing the trajectory of your life in any way and really, stepping into a new reality is of course to set the vision for what it is you want. I mean, you have to give your mind a target. If your mind doesn't know where it's going, it's just going to take you in any direction that it wants to go. And so it's really, really important to have a lot of clarity around what is it that I desire, even if I don't know how I'm going to quite get there. What does that look like? How do I want to feel? But then what we have to really do is get our mind on board with that. Now, our mind, the majority of us are going through life on autopilot, right? Just kind of going through life, going through the motions, our habitual thought patterns. Most of us have like the same thoughts every day, and the majority of them are not in alignment with our goals. They're usually sabotaging of some sort. But we're kind of going about life on autopilot with those belief systems and that conditioning that has been passed down to us. We're acting and reacting from those. Okay. Very often we're spending time in the past and in past experiences around shame and guilt and fear and resentment. And we're carrying that into the present moment. That's clouding our perspective of whatever it is that we're going through and impacting the action we're taking in our life and what we're calling in. Or we're living in the future. We're living in worry. We're living in fear. We're living in doubt. Who's going to judge me? I don't want to take action. What if I fail? Da, 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 all these things. And we're not living in the present moment, which is actually where all of our power lives, to choose a new thought, choose a new belief, choose a new action, right? So for me, I'd say one of the most powerful things in my life has been the practice of mindfulness and meditation, which is really about retraining your mind and body to live from the present moment. And when we're able to do that, we're able to notice when thoughts come up that are out of alignment with what it is that we want, and then we're able to shift them. But if we're not even aware that they're happening, we can't shift them, right? When we live in the present moment, we're able to tune into our own intuition. We're able to hear our own inner guidance. We're able to tune into the, divine guidance, source, spirit, God, whatever you believe, nature, universe, that is guiding you along the path, so that when you set that intention for yourself of what it is that you desire, and you really work on tuning your energetic frequency, because as an energy healer, that's a really important piece here. We're all energy, right? So we have to really work on that as well. And when we're able to really tune in and quiet the mind, then we can actually hear the guidance that's around us that's leading us to those next steps, right? And then we take that action. So it's really, I believe, critical that if we want to make changes, we have to be acting from our highest self, our most empowered self. And we can't really get there if our mind is, jumping from one thing to the next, always busy, always cluttered, and not actually in the present and tuned in. And so in my program, specifically in the manifestation vibration, we really learn about how to realign your energy, how to protect your energetic field from negativity and drama and things that are taking you out of alignment. Excuse me, but also how to rewire the mind and body to be fully in the present moment through super easy activities that you can do throughout your day. And we spend time in meditation, informal meditation, really getting to go inside and with a non-judgmental lens, look at the energies that are within us, look at some of the emotions that maybe we've been pushing down, gently looking at some of the experiences that maybe we had in the past that we're still carrying with us in the present moment, that are keeping us stuck and spinning and overthinking and procrastinating and people pleasing and all of these different patterns that result when we're disconnected from our true self.
That is the work that I think everybody needs to be taught.
Everybody.
Not only is it fascinating to go through, it is so empowering on the other side as well. And
100%.
we started this conversation with the idea that the work never ends, but it doesn't need to be an end because it just gets more beautiful and more beautiful.
It's so true. It's so true. And like, I know you said something around how personal growth or spiritual growth can almost feel addicting sometimes. And it's because you know what's on the other side of it. And it becomes easier to move through these blocks the more that you do it, and the more that you just sort of trust the process, and the more that you know, okay, I'm not going to die if I look at this one thing, but rather I'm going to feel the lightness and the freedom of being unchained from this thing that I've been holding on to. And, once you go through that process and the freedom that comes from that, and the more that you really start to connect with and live from an authentic place from your truth, just the more juicy life begin, the more juicy life thank you. The more joy, the more fulfillment, the more confidence, the more inner peace, really.
No, it's amazing. Now, if anybody wants to connect with you, where can we find you?
Yeah. So I do have a meditation and energy clearing download for limiting beliefs and blocks. So you can download that. Maybe you can leave the link for them for where they can find that. Probably the best place to connect with me is in my Facebook group, which is Karma Sisterhood, Authentic Selling for Coaches and Wellness Entrepreneurs, is also on Instagram or Facebook. Ali Sievewright. So it's Ali_Sievewright is my Instagram. Any of these places are good to connect with me. And my website, which is karmahealingsolutions.com.
Oh, and I will have all of the links ready and easy for everybody. So really look right, up, sideways, or below. They'll be somewhere.
Amazing.
Ali, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. This was a wonderful start to my day.
Right? I love having these conversations, and I hope that more and more it will come up, because this is a really beautiful way to do the work that we need to do to move in that energy of joy and lightness and just pure happiness in our day, no matter what happens.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Grateful that we connected, and grateful to your audience, mine, for listening.
Likewise. Thank you so much for everybody as well for tuning in. We'll catch you soon.
Catch you soon.